Good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, whatever. It's morning for me when I'm filming this out in my remote work cabin that I built for myself that's unheated, so it's cold. But that's how we do during the pandemic. Thanks for hanging with me in these end of year dispatch videos that I've been sending out. I know there's probably a lot of emails in your inbox asking for money at the end of the year because that's how it goes. It's the name of the game. If you're trying to help people or you're trying to support culture in any way, shape, or form, community support is what makes it all work. So this is no different, really. But before I tell you what we need, I'm going to tell you what we've got planned for the coming year because it's pretty cool and I'm excited about it. 2021 this is the first time ECA has actually had a schedule that went way down the road into the months. Usually it's always been scrambling, come up with an idea, let's do it as fast as we can, tell everybody about it just before it happens, sort of thing. And now we're actually getting things planned ahead of time, like grown-ups. Just a second, I need some coffee. Cold. Not my coffee, this space that I'm in. So first, January 14th, we're opening our next show. It's called A Critical Conversation and addresses the intersection of art, privilege, and aesthetics. This show includes a range of work by BIPOC and white artists, and includes a printing performance, poetry, and 2 panel discussions that will be open to the public online to participate in and listen in on the conversation. The panels will be moderated. We've got a nice wide range of folks participating and contributing their voices on the subject of art and aesthetics and privilege. I mean, I think it's an important topic, obviously, given the last intensity of the last 4 years, and let's be honest, 400 before that. In America, as an art organization, we feel we've got a responsibility to question what defines our culture regionally and locally, and to question the systems that uphold the way art is presented and talked about. Imagery tells our stories, but whose story is being told, whose story is being amplified over someone else's, and the show seeks to address that conversation or make a place for that conversation to happen. So we've been working hard at doing this. It's felt tricky at times, and we want to make sure that we're listening to everybody who's involved and taking into account people's feelings and concerns, I guess is a better word. You make sure that this is done in a way that supports everybody who's involved. This is a collaborative effort, obviously, and it's been driven by one of our artists, Kathleen Caprario, and a local filmmaker named Greg Black. They applied for a Black Lives Matter grant through the George Schnitzer Museum of Art, and they won a grant along with a few of the other artists in our group that are showing in this exhibition. They also won grants there for their work. So this is kind of a nexus of a bunch of really cool things happening for our artists and other local artists, and we're able to make a place for it to happen. So January 14th, A Critical Conversation will be open by appointment due to COVID concerns, but look for more announcements on that in the coming weeks. Coming days, it's just around the corner. What the hell? Okay. Later in March, we are partnering up with University of Oregon Center for Art Research, aka CFAR. They have a guest curator series coming up this year, and we are hosting an exhibition as part of that series called Dismantling the House, Programs on Power, and our space is hosting artist Garrick Imitani from Portland. Garrick's work deals with race, placemaking, political history, and he talks about it through sculpture, digital media, performance and drawing, etc. So that's coming up in March, I think. Yes. In the spring, we're also doing a couple evenings of experimental music, which I'm pretty stoked about because it's something that I do myself. One is a showcase night of artists from around the area doing work in the sonic realm. And then in April, we will be premiering or presenting, I think it's a premiere, the Eugene Difficult Music Ensemble's new project, which is called the Eugene Garbage Project. And this has been an ongoing work for them. They've won a grant to help facilitate this piece, and it's been ongoing. So they've been collecting trash, recycled materials, tossed out goods, objects of all kinds, and have been indexing and documenting those pieces and recording the sounds that those pieces make. And they will be using those sounds, processing them, and then performing with those sounds in a live performance as a way to talk about our environment and climate change and what we do with our junk, basically, and they're going to make something cool out of it. So I'm pretty excited about this project. It's got all the things I love. It's got a little bit of a sense of humor. It's also really fun, and it's going to be super sonically interesting, and these guys do really it's very busy. If you don't know EDME, look them up on YouTube. They've got a YouTube channel, and they are always putting out new experimental music pieces, treated piano pieces. They're doing works by past artists in the experimental world. So they're very active, and they do some pretty cool, interesting work, and I'm just really excited to have that kind of energy in Eugene, because like I said, it's something that's interested me for a long time, and I participate in that world a bit myself. So music, experimental, coming soon to an art space near you. We're also working on an exhibition called Architecture of Dreams, and this one has also come out of our artist member group, and I don't have a lot of details on it yet, but essentially the idea was to deal with our spaces, our dwellings and shelters, and our kind of personal containment units, especially in light of this last year. I think people are thinking about how and where they live, and we're thinking about others who may not have places to live, or have encountered, you can't pay their rent. I don't know, it puts your whole world in question if you can't pay your rent. And I think this show seeks to address kind of like the physical and psychological spaces that we occupy in that way. So I'm kind of making up things about it because that's all I've got. We're still working on the show plan, and we don't have a date set, but that is coming up probably end of spring. And this will be an exhibition with houses and dioramas and pictures of places and people and things in their spaces. And now I sound like Dr. Seuss. Another thing we're in the coming weeks, we're going to be announcing a call for curators, and this is part of our effort supports our effort to extend ECA out into the wider region. And so watch for that announcement. I think we're going to be looking also to bring curators from out of town down to work with artists in our area. But these are all little baby steps that we're taking, trying to expand what we're doing, open it up, bring more people in, just have a more robust dialogue and presentation of contemporary work that's happening in our area. So now that you know what is happening, I've got notes, I keep looking off to the side, sorry. Now that you know what's happening, I'm going to tell you what we need. This year, our financial goal, is to stabilize, to kind of establish our baseline of community-based support and partnership support, and mostly just to keep the lights on. Like, really my goal would be to get our monthly expenses covered, and to do that we need $17.80 a month. That's our rent, and that covers our utilities, and also to cover the pay for the admin. So that would be myself and Agnes right now. We were paid a little bit last year, but lately we've been doing it for free again, and I did it for free all the last 10 years I've been doing this. But those two pieces are kind of like the most crucial stabilizing elements that we need, because one, you can't have an art space without the space, and you have to pay your rent. And two, you can't have folks doing all of the work totally for free and growing a project like this. Otherwise you burn out and people can't do it. And we got to have sane, healthy arts administrators and thinkers behind all of our projects, so things work right and we can do a good job for the community and for our artist members. So I think my goal, one way to think about this would be our rent would be covered if we had 12 folks every month paying $150. That is completely ludicrous sounding to some people. I totally understand that. It would be hard for me personally to cover that. But for others, it's not a big deal. And so 12 people is really just a way to think about that cost broken across multiple folks. But that's one way to think about it. To cover salaries, we need about $2,000 a month. And those are meager stipends. I have a full-time job. I work for a branding agency in the creative design, digital design world all day. So ECA has always been done in the evenings and the margins of my life. And you can only do that for free for so long, especially at the level that we've been going lately. There's been a lot happening, and we want to bring on more people to spread the work around and to make sure things are done well. So those are goals, growth goals for sure. We don't want to become big, we just want to become effective. And so we are definitely discussing that sort of balancing act between how much do you want to grow versus how much do you just want to do a better job. And I am always all about not growing, doing a better job with what you have, and being just lazy enough to not burn out and also let things go sometimes. So I don't want to work harder, I want to work smarter. And I want the same for anybody who helps ECA out in the coming years, plural. So that's what we need right now. We need to stabilize our rent. We need to make sure that our folks are paid who are working behind the scenes every day, all week. That's my goal. There's logic behind this too, in that most grants that we get are for projects or for exhibitions or to go to a certain artist or for very specific reasons. Operations grants that cover things like rent and salaries and supplies and things like that are harder to come by, and to get those grants you actually have to already be kind of stable. You already have to have a certain amount of an operating budget that is in the black, so to speak, on the ledger. So part of needing that stabilization this year is so that we are in a better position to get those larger operation grants when they come available. The rest of the year we will be working on grants like you do when you're an art organization for projects and things we've got coming up, wherever we can get them. Supplies, nails, paint, screws, painting hangers, light bulbs, Wi-Fi. That stuff's pretty easy to come by when it comes down to it. It's the big chunk of change that goes towards keeping the lights on and keeping people sane and healthy in their work. That's harder to come by. So that's why we need that first. So now that you know the brass tacks of what we're trying to accomplish with our fundraising this year, baseline stability. We want to exist so that we can pay artists, we can support art making, and we can support the dialogue between the artists and the community. We are not just an art space for ourselves. We are here for Eugene. We are here for the region. We are interested in what contemporary art means to our community specifically. It doesn't mean the same thing here that it does in New York necessarily, or LA, or Seattle, or Portland. We've got our own context, and there are overlaps, obviously, but what does that mean for our community? And this next show, Critical Conversation, is actually a really good example of what contemporary practice means and how it can manifest itself. So I hope you have a happy new year. I hope it's filled with safe and effective vaccines, better politicians, less tragedy, more comedy. I hope you are able to get back close to people that you care about and gather in real life. I look forward to hanging out with folks in real life at the space. And I also look forward to not working in this little box every day that's a little ratty and loud and cold, and when tree branches hit the roof, it makes me spill my coffee. So if you can, visit our website, check out our support page. Have a happy new year and a better 2021, and thanks for hanging with us this far. Cheers.